What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Jenks Hammer Podcast. I'm your host, Grayson Jenkins. Hammer, as you can see, is unfortunately not here with us today. He is down in Florida on vacation, getting a little bit of a mental reset after the Packers lose yet again. So I'll be here for the Week 16 picks. There's a lot of games with playoff implications this week. There's 26 teams still fighting for a spot in the playoffs. So if your team is one of those 26, comment down below. Let me know if you think you guys are getting in. And with that, let's get right into the Week 16 picks.
Welcome to the Jenks and the Hammer Podcast, bringing you the latest NFL news and insights from the perspectives of two die-hard fans. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some football talk with Jenks and the Hammer.
Hey, here we go!
All right, guys, getting right into Week 16 picks. We're starting it off right with Thursday Night Football. We got my Saints taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Oh, gotta hate this team. So the Saints and the Rams are both 7-7, and they're both fighting for the playoffs here. So the Saints are fighting for an NFC South title, possibly the 7 seed in the wild card, and the Rams are also fighting for a wild card spot themselves. You know, if they win the next few games, they got an easy shot at that number 7, and possibly number 6 as well, depending on how a few other teams finish out. So both teams, playoff implications here. Both teams are playing decent as of late. The Rams won 4 of 5, and the Saints are on a 2-game win streak against 2 crappy teams. I'll say that. But they're still playing well. The Saints, Pete Carmichael, been garbage all year. I've been wearing a fire Pete Carmichael bag over my head the last few weeks. I'm not wearing it today because it's Christmas time. Be a little bit of merry, you know, giving a little bit of benefit of the doubt. And as far as the Rams go, their offense is churning out big plays. They are. And I'm a little bit worried for the Saints in that regard. But that being said, I got the Saints winning in my underdog pick of the week. Got the Saints beating the Rams in Los Angeles. And man, I'm just praying we don't have any flashbacks.
No.
Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag.
No.
Next game, you got Jake Browning and the Bengals taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, this is a big game for the Bengals. You know, they're still fighting for playoffs here. If they win the next few, maybe they got a shot at at the wild card spot. So the Bengals, Jake Browning came out last week with T. Higgins making a lot of big plays in a comeback against the Vikings where, man, there were a lot of bad choices offensively for the Vikings. But that being said, the Bengals came away with the win, and I think the Bengals can do it again against the Steelers, who, man, they just suck. I'm not going to say anything else. They suck. Next game, you got the Bills taking on the Chargers in Los Angeles. And, man, if I had no proof to back me up, you guys wouldn't believe me, but I've been saying the Bills, man, are a great team in the AFC.
They called me a madman. And what I predicted came to pass.
The record didn't necessarily reflect it over the last few weeks, but now that they beat the Chiefs and the Cowboys in both games that I picked them winning, the Bills are finally getting the recognition they deserve. I think the Bills win the AFC East. I think they beat the Dolphins in Week 18, and I think they beat the Chargers this week. And the Bills are they're getting it rolling at the right time. They're running the ball well. Josh Allen's throwing the ball well, making smart plays. Stephon Diggs is making plays when needed to. That one-handed catch was ridiculous. Bills fans, hey, let's go Buffalo. I got you guys going really well right now. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. My mom's a Bills fan. I'm a part of the Bills Mafia. Second nature. I'm a Saints fan by heart. Bills fan by supporting my mom. If you guys gave me a table, I'd jump through it. I'm picking the Bills here to easily beat the Chargers. Next, you got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Falcons in Atlanta. And man, Foul Clowns, you outdo yourselves every week. And as a Saints fan, I could not be happier about it.
You want to see me do it again?
You guys come out and lose 9-7 to a previously 1-12 team. And let me just paint a picture for you that didn't see this. There were less than 100. I believe there was less than 1,000 fans in the stadium. It looked like 100 due to the size of the stadium, but man, Falcons, you lose to a team without home field advantage that's previously 1-12. As far as the Colts go, man, you guys are 8-6. You guys got a lot going for you. Anthony Richardson went down, yet Gardner Minshew stepped up. You guys are playing well, and I think the Colts win this game pretty easily. Foul Clowns, you suck. Next, we got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Panthers in Charlotte. The Panthers coming off a win. Packers coming off a pretty ugly loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Packers, I think, come back, win this game, and the Panthers are back to their losing ways. Panthers, yeah, you guys beat the Foul Clowns. Congrats. But the Packers got a little bit of fire going under them. I think Jordan Love comes back, plays a solid game, and beats the Panthers. Next game, you got the Browns and Joe Flacco taking on the Houston Texans. And Joe Flacco, I even said it myself. I think he's the winter soldier of the NFL. He's proven that a year out of the league isn't going to hurt him that much. Last week he did throw 3 picks against the Bears, who are leading the NFL in picks. They have a solid defense right now, but the Texans are going to be without CJ Stroud this game. I believe he was out again today. I'm recording this Wednesday, so he was out again today, and it doesn't look like he's going to play, but it is up in the air. Maybe he comes out and it surprises people. I'm going to pick the Browns here if CJ Stroud is out. I think the Browns offense is playing to the level it needs to game manage with their good defense. And the Texans just don't have what it takes to beat a good defense right now without CJ Stroud. If CJ Stroud does play, I'll take the Texans, but I think he's going to be out. Next game, you got the Detroit Lions taking on the Vikings in Minnesota. And I think Detroit is just playing too well right now for them to lose to Nick Mullins and the Vikings after what I saw. Nick Mullins and the Vikings, for those who didn't watch the end of that game, just utterly choked to T. Higgins and Jake Browning. And I think the Lions are playing really well right now. Last week they showed that they still got it. People were kind of fraud watching for the Lions a little bit after the last few weeks prior, but I think the Lions come out I think they win by 2 touchdowns against the Vikings in this game. I'm going to go Lions. Next, we got the Commanders taking on the New York Jets in New Jersey, and man, this is a rough one. You got the worst defense taking on the worst offense.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
With that being said, I think the Commanders win this game against the Jets. I think the Commanders have a decent offense when it's needed, and I think the Jets their offense is not going to be able to keep up. Maybe they score 10 points tops. So the Commanders win. Jets fans, I'm sorry you guys suck again.
Oh, no! We suck again!
Next game, you got the Seahawks taking on the Tennessee Titans, and Will Levis, I believe, might be out for this game after getting hurt late against the Texans. And the Seahawks and Drew Lock balled out against the Eagles, came back, won on a crazy ending drive, and with a crazy ending pick where his toe barely dragged some pellets up, and we're like, oh, it's a catch. So I think the Seahawks win this game. Titans don't have enough firepower to beat the Seahawks here with a decent defense. Seahawks win. Next game, you got the Jaguars taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who last week just balled out against the Packers. Baker Mayfield went perfect, 158.3 or 153.8. I think I might be flipping it. Perfect QBR against the Packers at Lambeau, which no one expected. And Hammer was depressed after it. He still is probably. And I haven't really had a chance to talk to him because he's been that upset about it, which is here and there, no judgment. But yeah, on the other side of the ball, the Jaguars have been underperforming all year, in my opinion. Yeah, their record's good, but their wins aren't really convincing to me. I think the Jaguars win this game, but yet again, I don't think they've proved much. Trevor Lawrence has more to prove to me, and I think he still has a few bumps in the road to fix. And if he's able to, maybe the Jaguars got something in them a few years down the road, but Jacksonville wins this game, but they're not doing anything in the playoffs. Next game, you got the Tweety Birds taking on the Chicago Bears, and man, Chicago, I'm sorry for you, man. That Hail Mary was almost answered, but the guy decided to play soccer instead of football, and he kicked the ball away instead of catching it. So Chicago fans, a little bit of a heartbreak there. I do think you win this game, and it doesn't really do much to your draft. You still have the number 1 pick because the Panthers still suck. So Chicago, win this game. See if you have something in Justin Fields. He's been playing all right. Bears win.
The Bears, 62 to 3.
Okay, Todd. Bears, 79 zip.
Next game, you got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Miami Dolphins. And man, the Dallas Cowboys just lost in the most embarrassing way possible to the Bills. I picked the Bills, but hey, I didn't pick them that badly. I thought they were going to at least put up a fight, the Cowboys. So yeah, Cowboys, that was rough.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
As far as the other side of the ball goes, you got the Dolphins, who just blew out the Jets 30-0 and didn't even give up a yard until almost halftime, I believe, for the Jets. So Dallas, after an embarrassing loss, who just provided the blueprint of how to beat them to the Dolphins just have to run the ball with Mostert and Achane, who both have a lot of speed. And then when they're not running the ball, they can run a few play actions, and throw the ball deep to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I think. So this is going to be a rough game for the Cowboys. I think the Dolphins win this game. I would not have said that if it weren't for last week. Dolphins, you guys are winning. So hopefully you guys win here and give me another win to catch up to Hammer. Next game, you got the Patriots taking on the Broncos in Denver. And the Broncos, it was a rough loss last week, let's be honest here. But I don't see them losing again this time to the Patriots on Christmas Eve at night. I don't see it happening. I mean, the Broncos provide an early Christmas gift to the Denver fans, and Broncos win against New England. Next, you got the Raiders taking on the Chiefs on Christmas Day, and the Raiders, they somehow scored 63 points last week.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
If anyone told me that 2 weeks ago, I'd say you were dreaming. I was asleep. I fell asleep when it was 7-0. I woke up at halftime, and suddenly it was 45-0, and I was like, "Am I dreaming?" I thought it was like a lucid dream or a fever dream, something like that. But then on the other side of the ball, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, who they beat the Patriots. Congrats. They didn't do anything in any crazy fashion. It was a close game in the first half. They kind of pulled away in the second half. They don't have receivers right now. They don't. The receivers all suck. Even Travis Kelce hasn't looked like himself the last few weeks. But I do think the Chiefs still pull this game out. I think they're able to beat the Raiders, who, yeah, they got something going for them, but I don't think they're strong enough to beat the Chiefs yet. I think the Chiefs win in Kansas City. Next game, you got the Giants taking on the Eagles, and man, Tommy DeVito and it was shut down pretty damn quick against the Saints last week.
Oh, no.
I was a little bit scared when they drove down the field the first drive, put up 3 points. But then after that, it was easy sailing for the Saints, and they won 24-6 against a team who just has no offensive line. I'm going to be honest. They have no offensive line. The Saints had 7 sacks, even though we had barely any going into that game. And it was just a slaughter. It was. They shut down Saquon Barkley to, I believe, 14 yards. And if the Eagles are able to do the same with their good defensive line, I think the Giants get blown out in this game. Eagles win after another disappointing loss with Jalen Hurts throwing a pick late in the game on a play where he could have just thrown a couple dink and dunks. You have 2 timeouts. You just need 15, 20 yards tops. You have a guy who can kick 60 yards easy in clutch situations. So trust your kicker, man. Throw a couple balls into the middle of the field, get a few yards, call timeouts, and you have a shot. Instead, he chucked it deep, and it just was an ugly play. I don't understand why he did it, but Seahawks beat the Eagles. The Eagles lost. I think the Eagles bounce back, blow out the Giants in Philadelphia in the Link, and Eagles win. Next, you got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the 49ers, which is easily the game of the week and possibly the game of the year. We've said that a few times about other games, but this is likely the game of the year. You got both number 1 seeds coming in and duking it out. This could be a Super Bowl preview. I think the Ravens or the Bills will be the AFC side, and I think the 49ers will be the NFC side. They're just dominant on both sides of the ball right now. Brock Purdy's playing like the MVP. People are going to argue with that, but he is. As far as the other side, you got the Ravens, and their defense is playing pretty damn well. They had a little bit of a fight put up against them against the Rams, but other than that, their defense is playing lights out. Lamar Jackson's playing well with his backup. Isaiah Likely still playing well instead of Mark Andrews. And then OBJ, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, they have an all right receiving core now for Lamar. So he's doing a little bit better than he has been the last few seasons. I'm going to go underdog pick of the week. I'm picking the Ravens here to beat the 49ers in San Francisco. And a lot of people aren't picking the Ravens here. They're sleeping on them. But I think the Ravens can have a good enough defense to slow down Brock Purdy. I think he throws a couple picks in this game. But I'm not saying the 49ers aren't still winning the NFC. I think they do still win. But the Ravens win this game in San Francisco. That's going to do it for the Week 16 picks. Comment down below what you agree with, what you disagree with. Let me know. I want to hear what your team is doing this week, what you guys think. On next segment, we got the fantasy recap for those who are in our subscriber fantasy league. Let's get right into it. Oh, what a rough week for Jenks and the Hammer in fantasy football. You guys balled out. Hammer and I both lost in upsetting fashions. I'll break down each game really quick. So starting it off, you got Thomas and gloves didn't fit taking on Christian with wearing number 0. And Thomas, man, he took care of business. 100 points. That was wild. Next game, it was me taking on Forrest with just joshing, and man, he beat me by 18. It was a little bit of an upsetting loss. A couple guys underperformed. Garrett Wilson, Saquon Barkley, Devin Achan. It was rough. It was a little bit upsetting. I thought I should have won that game, but Forrest, all props to you. Good luck. You're taking on Thomas next week. Who knows? Maybe there's an upset in the making. Next game, it was Hammer taking on Paul and the Kirkred Cardinals, and man, Hammer just rough week. He lost by 28. It was an upset again. So Paul came in as the 6th seed, beating the 3 seed. Props to you, Paul. And who knows? Maybe you also are have a deep run in the playoffs ahead of you. Next, it was the Breeder Broncos with Rude taking on Nick Lewis, who, man, 5 points. 5 points is all it took. And here's what I think caused it. Bijan Robinson scored 0.4 points. 0.4. So for all of those who were the 1 or 2 seed going into the playoffs and other fantasy leagues, I could see the frustration when you come into a fantasy playoff game, controlling all these games, and then you lose because something like this happens. Bijan, upsetting loss. And even the Denver defense put up -4. So I'm sorry, Nick. Sorry you lost that way. It happens in playoffs. It's just not something you look forward to. So for this week, you got Forrest taking on Thomas in the 1 versus the 4 seed. Then you got Rude taking on Paul at the 6 and the 7 seed, battling it out for the championship shot. Good luck to everyone. And that's about it. I mean, other than that, I'm going to say this really quick. Merry Christmas to everyone that celebrates. I hope everyone has a great weekend, enjoys it with their family, takes some time off, relax, watch some football, and we'll get right back into it next week. With that being said, thanks for watching the Jenks Hammer podcast. I'm your host, Grayson Jenkins. Remember to comment, like, subscribe on YouTube, and for those listening on Spotify, remember to hit the follow as well as leave a review if possible. We love any feedback you guys have for us. Any reviews help, and we just want to say thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone and a Happy New Year. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Remember to leave a review and follow all of our social media pages at Jenks Hammer Pod for more content. Until next time, who dat and go Pack Go!